And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 4, episode 26. And we are in the heart of conference season, and we have a big QCast here today. It is a Saturday CCIW preview. We've never done this on the QCast before, but it seemed like a pretty darn good idea. And I've got a couple head coaches who are facing each other Saturday at 4:15 at the Shirk Center here. Steve Djurickovic of the Carthage Firebirds and Ron Rose of Illinois Wesleyan. And Steve, we were talking off air for a second here. Could you have done this QCast with Coach G and your father back in the day? Would this have worked or not? I'd like to get your take on that.
It would have been a little different than me and Ron doing this right now. But as I said off the air, I know you hate paywalls for games, but you could have charged a lot of money for that one, and a lot of people tuning in for it.
I'm guessing a lot more entertaining.
I would have paid a lot for that one. Coach Rose, how about you? CCIW, a little different era, I think, with coaches and I don't know, going in the 80s. Coach Rose, do you think that Coach Bridges would have done this with somebody, or talk me through that?
Well, let's go Coach Bridges and Steve's dad. I'm back in the day. We had some great battles. That certainly would have been worth paying for as well.
I would have paid for that one as well. Yeah. Absolutely. And those guys were buddies, and that would have been a fun one. Guys, really appreciate you doing this. We're going to keep this one light today, but I did think it was kind of a fun opportunity here because we have two first place teams, two 5-1 teams. And I guess before I get into that, Steve, I thought about your father a lot Wednesday night. He's kind of the champion of there's been no undefeated CCIW team since 72, 73. He's been the guy. And when the kid from Carroll hit the shot, the first person I thought of was your father. Somewhere in Florida, Steve, your dad was, I don't know, he was popping champagne or something, I think, wasn't he? Or what was going on there?
He was a happy guy, and he's the CCIW historian now, and we're trying to carry the torch for him there. It's a special league. It really is. We know it every single year, top to bottom, every battle, every game. And, it's just really fun to be a part of. There's been so many good. I saw your post, the amount of Final Four teams and championship teams and teams that finished 13-1, 15-1, whatever it was. And, for 50 years, I think that says something special about the league.
Ron, I want to get your take on that. There's six Division III national champs. No one went undefeated. Jack Sikma's NAI teams. 14 other CCIW Final Four teams. None of them got through unscathed. So Augustana 16-0 in 1973. Pretty cool little nugget about the league, Ron. Don't you think? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, there's so many good programs, and going on the road is hard. And there's a lot of pride. And conference play is just different than regular, non-conference play because you know each other so well. A lot of these kids, we've recruited kids on Carthage. Carthage has recruited kids on Illinois Wesleyan. So there's just a familiarity that you don't get in non-conference play. And then you throw in the rivalries. You can go across the country when you have two rival teams play, throw out the records, crazy things can happen. And it is a cool stat. So many great teams to go unscathed over. Now it's 3 months. I mean, right. It's a long time to play that good a basketball. Those many games is tough.
It is. It's a cool stat. It's 51 years in a row now. It was a big win by Carroll, a big upset win at Elmhurst that has, in my opinion, turned the standings a little bit on its head, because it looked like there for a while that, maybe Elmhurst was going to be a team that we were talking about making a run at that. And all of a sudden, we've got 3 teams tied for first, and your teams have already played there. So Elmhurst has to come to Kenosha, has to come to Bloomington. It really has changed things. Steve, you guys are playing really well. You're coming off of a 75-58 win at Wheaton. Earlier, you beat Milliken 88-78. And before that overtime win at North Park. Steve, I wanted to ask you about the North Park win, because that was a game that North Park was in position to win, and you guys really made a big comeback. And if you're going to win the league, there's a lot of games like that you have to pull out. Talk about that game at the Cracker Box.
I think that game really gave us some confidence. And I listened to Coach Rose's post-game comments on Wednesday, and confidence is a huge part of this. And when you're trailing late, you never felt like you didn't have a chance to make that run. And we were trailing by 10 with about 8 minutes to go. Filip Ulatovich, a fifth-year player, made some plays that you needed him to. And then to close it out, Antoine Nesbitt was special for the last few minutes and into overtime. So I think just getting over that one, getting that confidence to win, like Coach Rose said, winning on the road in the CCIW is hard. It's never easy. And getting that one really sort of started our momentum and gave us a lot of confidence going into Milliken. I think we built off that the last couple weeks.
Yeah, that was a big one. The North Park game, obviously, that they have struggled record wise, which is pretty crazy because they are so talented and hard to deal with their system, right, Steve? I mean, I know that the record doesn't indicate it, but that is a nasty game when you have to face North Park.
They mix up defenses so well. They have athletes everywhere. They have size everywhere. And, I thought we did a great job on Van Landingham. At the end of the day, you look up, he had 39 points. So what do I know? But they just put you in difficult spots, and they force you to guard one-on-one on the perimeter a lot. And, I think we made them work for a lot of shots, but they just always are in such attack mode, which you got to be ready for 40 minutes.
And Ron, on your side, I wasn't there. I wasn't at Stevens Point. And by the way, I'm glad I wasn't there, Coach. I'm glad I did not fly to Stevens Point. But from watching a stream, like the thing that I felt, Ron, from watching that game, it looked like our guys as the game went on just weren't really playing with a ton of confidence. And then I'm watching the Augie game and the Milliken game, and I'm kind of seeing our guys start to look confident again. And talk a little more about that, Ron. It's just the mental nature of like playing with confidence and the way you guys played against Augie and Milliken here in back-to-back games.
Well, it's a challenge, right? I mean, how do you make somebody confident? You can't make somebody confident. You can let them know you're confident in them, but without, when you're struggling, that mental piece, boy, we'd all be much wealthier if we could really tap in and knew exactly how to conquer that. And we went through a period. Part of it was, our non-conference schedule was so challenging.
Right.
We go out to California, play two really good teams, played pretty well, but not well enough to beat teams of that quality. That starts working on your psyche. And basketball is such a game of reaction, instinct. You can't hesitate. And we became a little hesitant. I mean, if you watch that Stevens Point game, we weren't the aggressor. We were very hesitant. And, at some point, I think our guys just kind of shed that. Something we've been talking about is playing more fearless. What's the worst thing that can happen in a basketball game? You lose a basketball game. Well, we did that. Well, the sun came up the next day. We get to play basketball again. Let's keep attacking the process and kind of play more fearless. Like you got a shot, shoot it. If it's and there's also that you have to have discipline within that. As a lot of people say, well, play fearless, play free and easy. Well, that's not necessarily good basketball. So you have to have discipline within that. But I think our guys have done that. And it's funny how you win a couple games, you play a little better, and how that confidence comes back just as quickly as you lose confidence.
And that's the cool thing about the game Saturday at the Shirk Center, I think, is that you have two teams that are both now playing well. Both teams have a couple games at least of feeling good. So I think we're going to get two teams feeling really good, and it should be a fantastic game. I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about the league this year before we maybe talk about the game a little bit. It's an interesting year in the CCIW. There's a lot of folks that have talked about it being down. I guess I would have a hard time saying that it's not down to some degree, in that the league went under 500 in the non-conference for the first time since sometime in the 80s, I want to say. But at the same time, when I watched the Titans play, when I watch Carthage, when I watch Elmhurst in particular, I see three teams as good as anybody that I'm voting for in the top 25. When I look at whoever I'm putting in at number 10 or number 12 or number 15, I don't really see separation there. Steve, talk a little from your vantage point. Is the league down this year, or how would you describe where the CCIW is?
I think Ron sort of said it. Like, a lot of teams challenge themselves in the non-conference too. So when you play good teams, it's going to be tough to get results, mainly on the road. But I think like any year, it's hard to win on the road in the CCIW. So no matter what it is, you need to protect home court. And when you go on the road, it's a challenge. And I don't think we'd be down. I think every single game is going to be competitive for the last 10 that both of us have. And, there's a lot of different styles. There's a lot of different plays. And, coaches are so good in this league preparing in different ways. And, you may have to play a North Park team who's going to be very aggressive, get after you. And then you'll play, an Augustana team who's been a way more zone than they have previous years. So you got to make shots to win games too. And like Ron said, shoot the ball with some confidence when you get up and down the floor.
And Ron, from your perspective on the league and the depth of the league, and just, again, a lot of the computers say that, the league's usually ranked third and it's ranked seventh or anything. From a coaching perspective, is that something you feel, or what would you say about kind of where the league stands this year?
Well, I think the people that are saying the league is down aren't coaching on Wednesday and Saturday. I think any team, any player, any coach that is teeing it up on Wednesday and Saturday, if you think that way, you're in trouble. The league, it's going to be every bit as competitive and hard fought games as it ever has been.
Yeah,
it is from my vantage point, being now the senior coach in the league. It's really interesting how it is a transitional period, because you go, from Bosco to Steve Djurickovic. The torch has been passed. You go different programs. We have a lot of really talented young coaches in the league.
Yeah.
And I went from, when I joined the league, being, I believe, the youngest, to now I'm the oldest. I felt like it was yesterday. So there is a transition period of reestablishing exactly the cultures and dynamic that each of the new young coaches are establishing right now. So it's kind of fun from my standpoint of seeing, a guy like Steve, who kept me up at night. The guy, he's saying how you woke up and, a kid from North Park had 39. Well, guess what? Who did it to, he was doing it to me back in 2009, 10, and 11. We spent, Steve, and I'd like you to talk about this. We spent valuable practice time figuring out how not to put this guy on the line. I mean, we specifically spent a half an hour how not to foul Steve Djurickovic. And at the end of the night, he's at the free throw line 10 times. Now, some people said he flopped. Some said he was crafty.
Say that.
I would like to hear what Steve says.
Yeah. Steve, please comment on that.
I think you have to have a little bit of a knack for it. Great officiating in this league. Always. They help you out a little bit. When your dad's, Coach and Brady, when your dad's on the sideline, you get a little bit of an extra push sometimes on those officials. But, I kind of worked, actually, just growing up playing, I was sort of inside out. So I learned post first and attack basket first. And I could tell in your building, not shooting the ball well from the perimeter a lot. So you had to do something to put the ball in the basket, and free throw line seemed like a better option. But no, that's just, we talk about game planning and, having these battles that we did back in the day. And I still, we joke about the Rosenkrantz, the Sean Johnson, the sex hour with his footwork around the basket. And, some of the guys that I play with, we still have text chains about all the guys we played. And now it's been 15 years, which is crazy to think.
But isn't that the fun? That's the fun thing about the league. I think about when I played, your dad was the coach at North Park, and they won national championships my freshman and junior year. We won the league my sophomore and senior year, and incredible battles.
Yeah.
I don't think you were born yet, Steve, at that time, but it was, but the history of the league and the great players, and the great traditions and the stories that go on. It's really one of the things I think, and maybe every league has that, I don't know, but the relationships that are built, like you're battling Travis and Sean and Doug and Matt Schick, and now you get older and there's this commonality and friendship, because at the time, I don't think those guys liked you very much, but as you're dropping 30 on us, but what a cool thing. And I think every era has those relationships that are built.
I've got the scouting report on Steve Djurickovic as a player. Is interesting, Coach Rose. Today on Twitter, just about an hour ago, a scouting report appeared on Ron Rose as a player. in high school from a gentleman named Dave Witzig. Posted this on Twitter.
Oh no!
And I
Love to see this.
wanted to ask you about this. He said, I saw Ron Rose play in high school about 50 times. Scouting report, and these are bullets. Incredible handles, Pistol Pete like. Great passer like Jason Kidd. Got in the lane all the time. Could play defense. I wanted to ask you about this one, Coach Rose. Suspect jumper. Suspect jumper. And then I wanted to ask you about this one too. Great pass fakes, shot fakes, head fakes, and hair fakes.
Yeah, I was about the Bee Gees. We had the feathered look. So yeah, one of my moves was fake right, let the hair go right. The defender would go with the hair, then you go left. Hey, and this is a true story, Steve. So you were a senior in high school. We're up in Kenosha playing Carthage. You had just committed to play for your dad. And I congratulate him. Hey, Bosco, congrats. It sounds like, Steve's a heck of a player. That's going to be an unbelievable experience. Tell me about his game. I've never seen him play. And in only telling a story like your dad could, he kind of hesitates and says, hey, he's a lot like you, Ron, when you were a player, but better. And at the time, I was kind of I thought, well, that was kind of insulting. And what really made me mad was when he was right. We were both, 6'1", 6'2", quick handles. Yep. But the suspect, I think Dave Witzig was being kind, calling my jump shot suspect.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that you knew that there was a scouting report that surfaced on Twitter today. And I told Dave that I had to ask you about that. Guys, let me ask, first of all, I want to check in. So I'm in Dallas. I have a tea time tomorrow. I don't think about these things. There's some weather up there, right? So Kenosha report. So Steve, is there weather issues today up in Kenosha?
All day Friday today, it looks like on campus, we got the lake effect where it's a little bit nicer here. So we have no snow on campus. So we're good here. You get out to the interstate a little bit. I think we're at 3 to 4 inches right now. But how's it down in Bloomington?
Nothing here now. A little rainy.
Okay.
So, but I do think Chicago got it, and hopefully they get and take care of those interstates well.
For sure.
Yeah, and Steve, I've had your athletic director here on the QCast a couple times. He's got this background that makes Kenosha look like the Bahamas, like the color of Lake Michigan. You've never seen a more clear blue, and so I don't know. I'd like to get some attorneys to see if that's actually Lake Michigan in that photo, Steve, because it sometimes snows up there in Kenosha, right?
It's just a little bit too. You don't want to send a postcard out for today, but it's gloomy out, it's snowing out. But over the summertime, I mean, that's as picturesque of a campus as you could ask for.
Let me before I let you guys go, because I know you're busy, just talk a little bit about this matchup. So kind of ask some cross questions here. Coach Rose, we got some problems here. This Djurickovic kid has been good for like 17 years. 5th year player, great player. I love watching this guy play. 13 points, 9 rebounds, 3 points a game, 56% from the field. He is, I don't know what I'd call him. I wouldn't call him a shooter as much as just a crafty guy that gets in the lane and makes big shots. And just talk a little bit about going against Philip now for 5 seasons and the kind of player he is.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of it, Q. He's he's one of those guys that does feel like he's been around forever because he had such an immediate impact and was such a good player as a freshman. And he's just, at our level, he's just a really hard matchup. He's a mismatch because, he can play the 2, the 3, the 4. He's so good getting to the basket. He's so agile and athletic, and he's crafty, and over time he is, as the best players in our league do, they add pieces to their game, they gain experience, they get better. And he certainly has done that. And, and he's been at the top of the scouting report since he was a sophomore. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle him? So he's a terrific player. I think one of the things that Steve has done they put 5 guys on the floor that you have to guard, which makes Philip really, it's hard to give anybody extra attention because they're all threats. And so that makes him even more lethal because it's hard to concentrate on one guy.
Steve, on the other end of this, I think we have a kid who's coming into his own as a great player. Nick Roper is a 6'8" junior guard that really does damage inside, outside, handles the ball. What have you seen on film in watching Nick Roper?
A special, unique talent at our level. I mean, you don't get many guys that are 6'8" that can score it at three levels. He can shoot it off the catch. He's got a really good first step getting to the basket downhill. And if you're behind him, the ball's going in and it's probably dunked on your head on the backside. And now he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable on the block. He's got a little bit of a face up. I don't know if it's a Sigma step or not, but he can face up a little bit. And no, you want to go small to pressure him on the perimeter, he's going to go to the block. If you guard him on a big, he's going to blow by you and get to the rim. So you can tell he's getting better and better with each week. And, unfortunately, the season was cut short last year. And obviously, injuries play a big part of it. But you can just tell his confidence is getting so much more as the season goes on. But a special player.
Ron, another guy that you'll play against tomorrow that's very talented is leading scorer Julian Campbell. And I don't think I've ever seen such a unique player in the CCIW based on his size at 6'8" and just a big kid, 15.6 rebounds. He's also shooting over 50% from the field. He's a really unique matchup. And again, I can't think of another CCIW player to compare him to with his size. When he releases the ball, you feel like it's going in every time. He has such soft touch. Talk about big Julian Campbell.
Well, the 6'8" isn't the hard part. It's the, I don't know it's the 240 of,
right.
And he moves. It's not like that kid's a plotter. I mean, Julian is and I still wake up in a cold sweat thinking of the pick and pop threes. I mean, that's something that is, so he can step out and shoot the ball, and he's got a quick release. It's a soft shot. And then when he gets on the block, he's so powerful. He is a special player. He's like, I think both teams have some unique guys at our level that really stress the defense, that are tough matchups. And Julian is certainly one of those guys.
Steve, on your side, one of the big things in the offseason is when Luke Yoder came back to the Titans from North Dakota State, a year playing Division I. I think he started 5 games for North Dakota State. And just his presence, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Your take on kind of Luke Yoder as the Titans point guard?
I think, top of the scouting report was he's the leader of a team. He gets the ball where it's supposed to go. He gets them organized. He's a very good defender with strength. And, he's not going to make mistakes. And you try to speed him up, he's able to go around you, make the correct pass. If you go under, try to beat him to spot, he's going to step behind and shoot the ball in the basket. So, I think both of us now have one fifth-year player that came back that are impact guys. And for us, it's Phillip. And then, obviously having a point guard that's been on some special teams over his career coming back. I mean, he's been through all these battles and wars for the past few years. Just having that leadership role is obviously huge.
A couple more guys to ask you guys about. Ron, Antoine Nesbitt transferred in from a Division II school and now has some time at Carthage under his belt. He's a 6'4" junior guard, very mobile. He is a pure shooter, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists a game. He's shooting 5-16 from the field. Again, when he's a guy that when he shoots it from 17 feet or 22 feet, you think it's going in. Really tough matchup with Antoine Nesbitt.
Yeah, there's a lot of tough matchup. You see the issue we're having here, Q. You're not making me feel any better. No,
same here.
I thought this was going to be lighthearted, Steve. And he's bringing up all these matchups that I've been stewing on for the last 2 days. Again, really a gifted player. He's one of those guys that as I watch Carthage play, makes everybody around him better, because he can handle the ball, he can pass the ball, he can score at all the different levels, he defends, he rebounds. He's a complete player. And so, you don't want, you go back to some of the really good passes in our league. You don't want to allow him to create for other people, but he can score himself. So again, Carthage throws a lot of guys out there that causes you problems, and Antoine's one of them, just because he's such a complete player in his ability to score it himself, or also sets up his teammates really well.
He is. He's a great player. Just all facets too. Steve, just a couple more guys here. Maybe when some people think of the Titans back in the 80s or so, they think of tall, thin posts. But we've got a kid that's been in the weight room a little bit. This Harrison Wilmson character. He's 6'10", 240, junior. I think he's still figuring out a little bit. 11 points, 3 rebounds. He's shooting 61% from the field. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing from this big post kid for the Titans.
Well, first off, he's not the only one that's been in the weight room. We need your workout plan if you can't share it with me off the air. But another, again, a unique player at this level. He can step out and shoot the ball with confidence. If he gets good position on the block and he can catch it in the lane, he's finishing it every single time. And on the defensive end, he's probably even better than he is on the offensive end. He moves well in ball screen actions. He's able to recover and contest well on perimeter shots. I know Coach Rose said you look for some pick pop opportunities, and somehow he's able to be in the correct spot, guard the roll on the drive, and still get out and contest shooters on the backside. So just a unique player who, again, 6'10", 240, 250, whatever he is, that can really score it from the perimeter. And is just his footwork's gotten so much better these last 2 years. And it's been fun to see, except for 2 times a year.
I'll ask you each about one more player. Unfortunately, I think Coach Rose has the scouting report on this kid. So Coach Djurickovic, did Ron at least make you work hard on Ryan Johnson? Were you nervous at all? At least you worked hard, right?
I think when Ron went to the 3rd baseball game and I was at my 4th or 5th going to see Ryan pitch, and I believe total innings pitched were 0 in some cold weather standing there, but it was worth it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, at least maybe you were nervous for a little bit, but let's talk about Coach Rose. I think you saw a lot of this kid's high school games. So Ryan Johnson is a 6'7" freshman forward that is going to be a great player in this league, if not already. He 11 points, 5 rebounds. I can't remember which games early. Maybe it was the Whitewater game. He has had some fantastic games. Talk a little bit about the matchup here with Ryan Johnson.
Well, kind of going back to the CCIW, it's one of, we developed what I believe is really a close relationship with Ryan and his family. I mean, he's a terrific young man. We love their family. Certainly, those are the phone calls that sting, right? When you really, really know how talented a player is, but also really like him. You feel like and then you get the phone call. He's going to Carthage. You're like, well, now we got to figure out how to guard the guy. And he has had a great start to the season. And he's, again, at our level, really a challenging matchup. It's why we recruited him. He can play inside, he can play outside, he shoots the ball, he puts it on the deck, he can post up, he's competitive. And so, yeah, he's a really a talented young man. And it's a kid that's easy to cheer for because you get to know him. And so I'm happy for the really great start that he's had so far in his career.
Yeah, he's a unique player, and when he gets on the floor, people will see how talented he is, and he's already a great player. And then, Steve, on your end, one other player to ask you about is one of my favorite guys in the Titans. He's been a 4-year contributor, Ryan Soroka. 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He's a 6'5" senior guard. Really just kind of a guy that does a little of everything well. But talk about your matchup with Ryan Soroka.
Never easy, because he's the definition of a winning basketball player. He can guard it, he can rebound it. He's got nice footwork on the paint. And remember, they're going to post up a lot of different guards, and we're going to try to be in the right spots. And if I see one more post of yours about his little turnaround 8-footer, it's not fun for us to have to deal with.
I love that shot.
He's just gotten, again, another player that's improved so much over these last 3-4 years. And just, he keeps adding to his game. He's much more confident off the bounce now. When they're trying to go into their little post up and the ball gets reversed on the elbow for an ISO look, now he's able to sort of back you down, get to the rim, and get to the foul line. So, a 6'5" player that was heavily recruited out of high school. That's, you got 6'5" senior right there in Soroka, and let's call it what it is. You got a really talented freshman coming in who's getting some more and more minutes of late from down in your area, and they seem like very similar type players.
Yeah, Mason Funk is becoming a really good player.
Yes,
I really appreciate you guys doing that and kind of talking about some of the guys in the other teams. I think that's pretty unique and pretty cool. Just before I let you go, I made a tweet yesterday about you guys coming on, and I said, I've got an All-American guy that played for his father, and I've got a father that coached an All-American son. Steve, I know you've been asked this a million times, but what was it like to play for your father?
It's and Coach Rose can agree. It's special. It's a different relationship that you have, having the ball in your hands, like I was able to do, like Brady was able to do for your father, and just it's it's really hard to describe. And I've been asked this a million times, and I still can't give you a great answer. But there's nothing more fun than just being able to have those conversations and be able to work every single day on the court with your dad for 4 years, and then I was able to coach with him for 8, 9 years, and I've learned obviously so much from him across the board. And if I learned one thing, it's appreciate the history of the CCIW and all the players and all the coaches that have come before. And it's a really special league and a community that we have here, which we're lucky to have.
And Ron, a similar question, just because of the unique nature of having you two together, but you got to coach Brady. And what was it like on the flip side? What was it like coaching your son?
Yeah, like Steve said, special. Really a blessing. You look back and what are some of your blessings in life? That was a real blessing. Not that it wasn't always easy, but it was, I look back and think what a special years that was. Every day we had practice. I walked in and my son was there. Every time we loaded up the bus, team meals, you're getting to share a unique experience with your son. And I would lie if I said I don't miss it to this day. I mean, you walk in the gym and he's not there, and there's you miss that that extra. I think we both love coaching, and you move on and you're excited about. But that was such a unique time and experience, and just very fortunate that we got to do it.
Yeah, it was cool to watch both sides of it play out. I was around for both sides of it. It was super fun to watch. Just ask you guys for any final thoughts. We've got a ball game tomorrow at 4:15. You'll have a lot of Carthage folks, Titan folks, D3 folks tuning into the QCast to check this out. First, Coach Rose, your final thoughts for anyone tuning into the QCast today.
Well, you can tell as we talk, we both watched a lot of film of each other.
A little bit.
My eyes are bloodshot from watching Carthage film, and so you're going to have two teams that are prepared, two teams that are right in the midst of battling to stay in the lead of the CCIW. It's going to be a great, two really talented groups, and it's going to be another great CCIW. We've had many great battles over the years with Carthage, and I think tomorrow afternoon will be another one.
Steve, thank you, Ron. Steve, how about on your side?
Great. I think you have two teams that are starting to figure it out and playing their best basketball of the year. And it's a long season from typically October 15th. Now you add the earlier in September and early October. It's been a grind for the last however many weeks it's been. But you're gonna have two teams that are playing pretty confidently right now. And we know road games for us, they're difficult. This will be our third and four games, and we know Wesleyan is always prepared and in the right spots. So it'll be a fun battle for both of us.
Guys, I really appreciate you doing this. Again, kind of a unique thing, the day before a big game like this. It's kind of cool that I think we're to the point where we can do fun things like this. Steve Djurickovic, you're awesome, and we'll be rooting for you except for this game and then that one in Kenosha. There's no way I'm rooting for you. Coach Rose, I like the way the guys are playing. Looking forward to the big ball game. So I appreciate both of you guys doing this, and we'll wish you guys a great game tomorrow, okay?
Safe travel, Steve. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.